Hey, Daniel Ramsey here with MyOutDesk. I'm excited because we've got another celebrity guest today, and we're going to do a lot of fun stuff. We've got David Parnes. He is from Bond Street Partners, the agency. And what's cool about this show, if you're live with us right now, give us a little shout out because this guy has over 1.5 billion of contracts, of clients that he is going to sell. He is by far the largest agent I've ever gotten an opportunity to live interview. So it's rare to have a $1 billion guy of just work right now, which is just nuts, man. So David, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm actually sitting in my backyard, so it's a nice backdrop, and it's very pleasant here. But thank you. I appreciate your invitation.
Well, David, you know, what's cool too is you've been picked up by Bravo and been on $1 Million Listing LA, which is really cool. Tell us a little bit, real quick. We'll get into a little bit of your background. What's it like being a movie star, real estate agent?
I wouldn't go that far. Thank you, though. It's great. I mean, look, honestly, it's all about work ethic, and in this business, you get what you give. And I think it's about never giving up, staying in your lane and remaining focused and always believing in yourself. And I think if you stick to that formula, you're going to succeed.
Now, we know there's a lot of drama on your show, though. I mean, there's a lot of like kind of fun stuff going on. Client drama, other agent drama, relationship and life drama. So talk to us about that. What's it like, giving the world a preview into your life every day when you're on that show?
You know what? The cameras are following us around pretty much all year. So, it's they're going to get stuff, and when you make a decision to put yourself out there, it's got to be all or nothing. You can't be half pregnant, as they say. So I think that, having that opportunity to be on a show that's aired across the world and is great for business, it's something that, I made a decision that I'm very happy to do. And that means sharing everything.
That's everything.
Everything. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, my brother's been on the show. I had my baby, got married, obviously not in that order. Proposed to my fiance at the time. So literally, I've lived, for the last 6 years, showing everything that's going on camera. And what's nice is actually closing some deals as well.
So making money and being on TV, that's great. What and this is a weird question, but as you get to know me, you'll know weird questions come up from time to time. What's been some of the most like embarrassing things on the show that you've had to share with the world, and afterwards you're like, oh, did I really?
Oh my goodness. I think it's at the beginning. I think our first year, when you first start, on camera, it's new, and you don't really, the cameras come up and, sometimes you don't really know how to react too much. So it doesn't show the genuine you necessarily. Yeah. And I think over time, so watching that first season back for me was kind of like, oh my goodness, whoa. But then from then on, once you've seen yourself and you feel comfortable in front of the cameras, you get used to it. It becomes second nature. And I think that, I mean, things happen, you can get some strange clients, you can get some strange situations you find yourself in, but that's just part of the course,
Yeah. Well, okay, since you said that, what's the strangest situation having been on TV that, like a client deal or something real estate related,
We've been, I mean, there's been like a situation whereby, we were in a listing appointment I think it was Beechwood Canyon, actually, in Hollywood area. Sure. And the guy loved Burning Man. So he basically came up with the idea, or I think I did actually, that maybe it would be a good idea to throw a Burning Man themed event for the open house. Yeah. So that was pretty crazy because the way we dressed in our outfits and the whole setup was pretty fun, actually. That was a new one at the time. And it went really well. And I got a full price offer for the property and the client disappeared. So I could literally not get hold of him. He literally disappeared. I haven't seen him to this very day, by the way. I know he's alive, thank goodness, because I got in touch with his dad who helped me close the deal at that point. So it was an interesting one. And that all happened on camera.
And so you had to hunt down his dad to get the signature to close the transaction.
Yes.
How long did that take, and how did you do that?
Took about a week, and thankfully, his father was very, very nice and really real gentleman, and he wanted to get the deal done because it was a great deal and a great price, and it just happened. But that's just one of the hiccups that can happen in any transaction. But it became right in the end, and that's just another thing. You just can't give up. You can't think, okay, well, I can't get hold of him, so that's it. You just got to really think about the avenues, how to make the deal happen, and it made sense for them for sure, because it was actually over ask, and they took the deal, and it was done. So it was quite a journey with a bit of a roller coaster, but it was fun. Now I look back on it.
That's so awesome, man. How did you get selected for this TV show? I mean, in LA County, there's like, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 agents who would like die to be on the show, and yet here you are. We're going to talk about.
Yeah, we were approached actually by a casting agency, and they actually called us, and we just thought it was a joke. So we did a Skype interview, James and I, with the not even production company at that point. It was with the scouting company.
Sure.
And they, I mean, we were just joking around. I mean, it was just like, we weren't taking it 100% seriously, which was probably a good thing in hindsight.
Right.
And they, I think they sent that off to the network or the production company, and then they sent a camera crew out for the day to see how we were and see how we did. And I think they were doing that with, I think they started off with hundreds of agents at that time for the cast, and we made it. So we're very grateful for that. And that was 6 years ago, and we haven't stopped since.
That's crazy. What's been the biggest blessing being involved with Bravo on, in real estate land? There's no better show to be on, to raise your kind of influence and your name recognition. But
Yeah.
what's been the biggest wow that's happened? I mean, it's changed your life, obviously, but how and what?
Well, it's been incredible because, at the end of the day, as a realtor, the way to sell a property is to be able to get as much exposure as possible, preferably targeted exposure.
Right.
So, as a realtor, part of our job is marketing. A big part of it is marketing and making sure that, whether we're representing the property, however we're doing it, it's seen by as many people as possible, in the best possible light. So, having an opportunity to actually, put our brand and our properties and show what we do on television across the world, basically in front of millions of people, is a great gift. It's an opportunity which I'm personally very, very grateful for, and has worked wonders for us. And I believe that, a lot of our success is attributed to the exposure that we get on TV.
Huh. And what do you think it's done for your brand in terms of gaining clients and reputation and allowing you to dominate your kind of niche?
I think it's all, it's a whole connection. I think we have great clients. We work very hard, and we never give up, and we have a great work ethic. I think that's first and foremostly most important. And I think what this platform has allowed us to do by being on TV and being on Bravo and being on such a great show is to really elevate that, and to really make the most of it and the opportunities that it affords. And it really does. And it's I guess we were the kind of people that came to LA not to be on TV. A lot of people go to LA to become an actor or,
Right.
whatever they want to do. That was the opposite for me, but for some reason it kind of just ended up that we ended up on TV. So it's been a great run, and we're having great fun doing it, and it's been fantastic for business. It's a lot of work, but it's something that we're willing to do, and we're very grateful for.
It's interesting because you said you came to LA. We were joking before the show about you're an immigrant. I mean, obviously you've got a little bit of an accent, but tell us your story. Like, how'd you come to LA? Why real estate? Like, give everybody a kind of a breakdown on who David is.
So I actually was, before I moved to LA, I just really wanted to get, and I thought, what accent is going to work best in LA? What are people really going to like? Because I was actually born in Mississippi. I don't know if you knew that, but I was, and I really perfected the British accent. Sorry, I got a helicopter going above me right now, but I really perfected the British accent before I arrived to LA, and people buy it. I mean, I think I do a pretty convincing one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know that's not the truth, man. Come on.
No, not the truth at all.
No.
So yeah, I guess you know, coming from London. Sorry, there's a helicopter going again. Coming from London to LA, for us when we set up our business, it was, you know, it wasn't as though we had clients or connections or contacts or anything like that. So it was really important, if we were going to make it in this business, to get creative, because it was a big chicken and egg situation. You can't get a listing without a track record, but then how do you get a track record without a listing? That was the biggest challenge at the beginning, and I think every realtor faces that. Yeah. If you compound the fact that I didn't even really know my way around, and frankly didn't really know anyone that could give us much business, it made it even more difficult. So what we did is we actually noticed that a lot of developers were active in LA at the time. They were buying small houses on big lots, tearing down the house, and basically building a bigger house to maximize the value, I guess, of the lot. And then, you know, the margins made when they sell the house for a lot of money, hopefully. So what we noticed is that you don't really need a track record to work with a developer. If you show a developer a good deal, they're going to buy it. Yes. And if they buy it and you do a good job and they believe in you, you may actually get the listing on the back end. So we started door knocking in Bel Air, of all places. I mean, we just went straight for it, and we didn't realize quite what we were doing. But, you know, one of our first deals was literally from door knocking. It was a $6.5 million teardown, and which was a big deal just for the teardown part. And we sold it to our client, and we ended up listing that for him for $30 million plus when it was finished. So we kind of hit the ground running without realizing it, just by sticking to this formula. And then, you know, once we'd sold the first teardown, we'd market it heavily around Bel Air, and then we'd get a call from someone else, I remember, and he goes, I saw you sold that house for $6.5 million. Do you think you could do the same for me? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And we listed his house and we sold it for $6.5 million. And we really just, you know, we're doing really big deals, because $6.5 million is a big deal. And that's just the teardown part. And a lot of these listings are now $30 million plus. And now we're selling $20 million teardowns in Bel Air. I know, can you believe it? In Holmby Hills and Bel Air, $20 million teardowns, loads of them. So that's what and then, you know, what we do is we consult with the developers throughout the process, because we know what people want. And we typically get the listing signed while it's under construction. And that's how we've managed to amass probably about over $1.5 billion of current inventory right now that we have contracted, that are either under construction or listed currently.
Wow. So, okay, how do you manage $1.5 billion? I mean, one thing, if you're listening to the show, say hello to Lisa Archer. We are open to questions. David loves questions. When I was talking to him earlier, he's like, yeah, ask me anything, Daniel. I don't care. I'm here.
Well, within reason, Daniel. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, within reason. We'll do that within reason.
I'm joking. You can ask me anything. I'm an open book, Dan.
Yeah, I love that. So in Facebook or wherever you're listening right now, if you have a question, just type it in. We'll get to the answer. But you're managing $1.5 billion in inventory, active or in some stage of development inventory. How do you do that efficiently? How do you do that effectively? What's your secret to doing that? There's a lot of people. I mean, in fact, Daniel Del Real, who a friend and client, is on watching us right now, and he says it's insane the amount of inventory you're managing. How do you do that? What do you do?
You just work really, really hard.
Okay.
But I mean, look, just to put it into context, a lot of these listings are going to be $100 million plus houses. So, you know, they're very big, you know, houses. Not all of them, a lot of them. But really, it's just a matter of, you know, having conviction and being present for your clients and really guiding them through the process as best as you can. And just, you know, working really, really hard, because it can be done. And another thing is we We don't have a team of 60 people. We've never done that. We've never, you know, when I talk about our volume, that's not with 60 agents underneath us. That is literally myself, James, and 2 assistants.
Yeah.
And a buying agent. So it's not like, you know, we have 60 people. We like to have the control, and we like to, you know, personally manage, you know, the majority of these listings. So frankly, it's just working really hard and just staying on top of your workload and being organized. And it can be done because we're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's staggered as well. So it's staggered. Like, a lot of it's under construction. So a lot of the product, a lot of the inventory is going to be delivered at different times over the next 2 years.
Right. So you're managing a process for your clients. Are you pre-marketing stuff that's in construction? Are you putting like the photos up prior to the thing being done, or?
It really depends. Typically not so much, because a lot of these properties, I mean, I'd mention it more as an off-market situation. You know, if I was with a particular buyer that wanted something that matched what we were building at that time, I would definitely mention it to them and say, look, you can, you know, we can pre-sell this to you, and you can, you know, be involved in, you know, customizing it to your specifications. So yeah, it's always on my radar. But typically a lot of these clients like to actually get to the delivery of the finished product, and we help them get from, you know, obviously buying the land to delivering the finished product with you know, our guidance and you know, expertise.
Yeah. When you're like helping these developers, are you telling them what buyers want in today's market? Like, what are some of the features that are must have for the LA crowd, the people who are going to spend 30, 40, $50 million?
Yeah. You know, when you're around clients, buyers, sellers all day long, every day, and you're looking at all the houses, you know, all the inventory, you know, what sold, what hasn't sold, why it sold, why it hasn't sold. You kind of know, and you see the new things and the new trends. It really puts us in a great position to be able to provide that guidance and that advice, basically, to developers, to builders, to make sure they get the right products. I mean, I've walked into houses before that have just been framed up and basically said, look, you know, you got to change this up quickly. And, you know, an example was, you know, everything was wrong with the floor plan that I walked into. It's going to be a $20 million house, this one in Bel Air. And I just said, look, everything's wrong here, and this is what you need to do. And you need to make the kitchen bigger. You need to move it over there. You need to take this wall down. You need to raise the ceiling height. And this was all done during framing. And I went back 2 weeks later and everything had been done. So, you know, it was a really good feeling that, you know, the client listened to me. And also the fact that I know that I basically took what was an unsaleable house to a very saleable house just based on the floor plan and the layout.
Yeah. We've got a question here. Do you have your agents show your listings, or do you personally show them, like, yourself?
We don't have agency. We have a small team. That was my point. You know, we've never expanded to have 60 agents or even 20 agents under us. We've always wanted to keep it to ourselves, and that's what we've done. So, you know, it's always someone, either James, myself, or someone, one of our buying agents, someone that's within our team of basically 6 people that would show the properties. We're very hands-on.
Yeah, but how do you manage your clients' expectations that, like, I want David, I want to talk to David about, you know, how my house is marketing?
We do it. We really do.
That's it.
True. Yeah, we do it. And you just work that much harder. And at the end of the day, you know, I won't take on a listing that I don't believe in at the end of the day. You know, if I think that the seller is being unreasonable or price-wise, or if I think that the product is just not quite right, I'm going to be honest with them, and I'm going to tell them straight up. And whether they want to fix it, whether they want to price it the correct price, that's up to them. But I'm going to give them the guidance to be able to get them the best price. But it's sometimes up to them whether they listen or not. I'm selective.
Have you walked away from a lot of business because you know they weren't listening to you, or they wouldn't kind of follow your guidance?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm very, very selective, and the truth is that, you know, if I feel that, you know, this client is not going to, you know, take the guidance and do what's best for them based on my experience, then what's the point of me representing them if they don't, you know, if they don't, I guess, want to follow what I'm saying, because then I'm not the right representation for them at the end of the day. What value am I bringing to the table if it's not being executed?
Yeah. What are like the 5 things that houses have to have in LA, if in a development scenario? Like, what are the must-have 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5? I mean, what are the things that are just making people like sing right now?
It really depends. It really depends on the price point. You know, when we're going to the crazy numbers, like, you know, the 50, $60 million houses, $100 million houses, then, you know, you just got to pull out all the stops on those, you know. What I've noticed is the white box was very, very popular at a period in the Hollywood Hills, and they were selling like hotcakes. You know, someone would literally build a white box with beautiful views and they'd sell. Now people want more of a warmer house. You know, they don't want the cold modern. They want more of a warm, timeless modern. And I've noticed that's a trend that's happening, certainly in the Hollywood Hills. But you know, a lot of buyers as well are liking, you know, I guess, you know, movie theaters. Movie theaters are always a big deal. Historically, they were putting them in the basement. Now, a lot of people are actually putting the movie theaters on the main level, just off of the kitchen area or the family area, and that's actually interesting because you can. It's not just a movie theater; it's also becomes a seating lounge and a screening room just off the family area that people can congregate and actually use. So that's kind of a popular trend. And I think, yeah, just in general, just, you know, being more creative, putting better finishes in, better attention to detail, again, warming up what would have been a cold modern house. These things are all important.
Mm. When you look at your evolution, like from when you first got your license to where you are today, what are some of the lessons handling these luxury homes, high-end buyers, people who are paying cash for like a $30 million property? What are some of the lessons that you wish you would have known, you know, 5, 10 years ago when you first started in the business?
By the way, say hello to my dog. She just jumped on my lap.
She just sat down.
Just in case you can see her ears popping up from there. So I think lessons learned. I mean, you know, ultimately, I think to be successful in any business, it's about mindset from the get-go. So I think if you have the mindset of believing in yourself and the strong work ethic and, you know, never give up mentality, I think that's really the key. So I think mindset is the most important thing from the get-go. And I think the rest of it is experience that comes from what you're going to manifest and create as a result of that mindset. And I think that's just, you know, doing transactions, doing deals, dealing with clients, learning what people want, learning what people don't want in the market. That stuff that comes later on and over time. And you're always going to perfect and improve on your craft by keeping that mindset that I just mentioned and just going for it. You know, the experience is going to come. That's just part of the package.
Yeah. David, would you share with us what a client experience would be like working with you? Like, and this is really for the audience, people who are like, well, what's it like to sell a $30 million place?
Yeah, I get that question. I mean, look, honestly, selling a $30 million house, a $100 million house, a $10 million house, a $2 million house, it's all real estate. It's just numbers at the end of the day and slightly bigger properties. But the reality is that, you know, when I work with a client, I think they probably respect me because I'm honest. I'll just tell them as it is. There's no sugarcoating, and I'll just be 100% honest and be true to myself and really have their best interest at heart. You know, anything I tell them is for them, not for me necessarily. I think that, you know, I treat their real estate, their properties, their needs as buyers like I would treat my own. And I think just having that, you know, I guess being ethical and being honest and being transparent and being, you know, true to yourself and true to them, that's really the most important thing, because that's how you're going to do the best job for your client.
Right. What and what are the kind of services that you guys provide that kind of puts you or differentiates you guys in your market?
I think it's just knowing your market. I think it's knowing your market in general, being there for your client from start to finish. Now, if your client's a developer, that means, you know, you're not just selling them the teardown, you're actually guiding them and working with them through the entire process from start to finish, and then obviously listing it and marketing it and getting them the best price on the sale. You know, that's a real good relationship there. So I think it's not just, you know, we're not just a you know, a one deal or a one hit wonder. You basically want to be there as a long-term relationship with your client, because, you know, if they do well, the chances are they're going to buy a lot of real estate and sell a lot of real estate through you, and they're going to trust you and rely on you to help them do that. And that's really an important thing about longevity and growing a big business as time goes by.
Yeah, is to have that relationship with your clients and be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Real quick, are you experiencing any kind of a slowdown in the high-end market in LA right now? Like, are you seeing
Yeah,
properties sit?
I think at the beginning of the year, Dan, it was a little bit funny because there was a bit of a standoff between buyers and sellers, and there've been some negative press on the real estate market. But borrowing rates are right now really, really low and attractive, and the market just in the from the second quarter of this year has just gone really, really strong. But at the same time, sellers do have to be realistic on their pricing. That's important. Right now we're more at a it's not the market's been growing consistently for the last 6 years pretty much, but now it's a matter of it's not plateaued, it's just the growth is not it's leveled off a little bit. So basically before the sellers were setting the prices and the buyers were meeting them. Now the sellers have to understand that the buyers aren't going to overpay for something in a market that's not going up at the rate it was for the last few years. But now that that's happened, the good product always sells. And I think that, the sellers are becoming realistic now, and things are selling, and there's a lot of activity. It's a good market.
In your experience, it's a good market right now to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is.
That's cool. What are some of the things, what's it like to work for David in your office? Like you as a boss, like what's that like?
Honestly, I'm out and about the whole time. I spend most of my day in my car on my phone, going to clients, meetings, real properties. So really, I'm just non-stop. So it's more likely just going to be a phone call and an email and what's up, and maybe I'll pop in the office quickly and do what I need to do, and then I'm off again. And I can't really sit still for that long, which is kind of a record by me sitting still for this long right now, speaking to you. So I'm one of those people. I'm a bit hyper and ADD, so I like to just be like moving and moving and moving.
So, what's your day look like? Like, what's the day of a $1 million listing agent?
It really varies. There's a lot of filming, obviously, but it's like it can be. I got a meeting this afternoon to discuss with a developer client of mine to discuss their budget and the best plan to go forward with their property. And we've been working on this for a long time. I've got showings this afternoon in Holmby Hills and Bel Air. This morning I've just been doing emails and phone calls all morning, just keeping on top of everything. So it's very it varies day by day, but the general theme is client meetings, showings, emails, phone calls, and that's basically and filming, obviously, and that's how it really goes. I'm talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you for that. Are you currently in production right now? Like they are following you around when you're going to show properties and meet with developers?
I don't know if I can really comment on that right now, because when you're between seasons, I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say, so I can't really answer that. Sorry about that. But typically when we are filming, I can answer it that way. When we are filming, absolutely, the cameras are there.
They're just always there.
Well, not always, but a lot of the time, all year round. Yeah, all year round.
So you just have a trailing car following you at all times. Is that kind of how it is? And like a group of guys?
Well, when we're filming, yeah, it's a production, but it's great, and I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's great fun.
Huh. Okay. So what are the things that you're looking for? We're almost done. And Daniel Del Real says he loved what you said. A lot of people are trying to build a business in order to delegate all the work. But the reality is you have to work hard, which will force you to work smart and develop yourself. So I love what his comments. He's giving you props. He's saying he loves your work ethic and what you do.
I appreciate it.
What would you leave our audience with? Like, what are the best David lessons, in this game? If somebody's trying to make that change over into a luxury or a multi-million-dollar agent, what are some of the lessons that you would want to leave our audience with today?
I think the facts are very simple. We're in a proven industry. We're not doing something that hasn't been done many times before. That basically means that if there are successful people in being as realtors in the industry, then they've proven it can be done. So knowing that information, that it can be done, as long as your mindset's right and you're determined to work very hard and never give up and stick with a formula, even when you're in a down market, or even when you've got no inventory or no listings, that's when you're building your pipeline up. That's when you're going to find yourself working your hardest. And when you hit a run, you hit a run. And I believe that in a proven industry such as being a real estate agent, I believe that if you don't give up and you work hard and you believe in yourself and you're honest and ethical, there's no reason why you won't become the best. Simple as that.
Right. And what are the things that you see people fail when they try to get into your space? Or
I think they just give up. I think it's giving up and maybe not working hard enough, not believing in themselves, not being, good to their clients and true to their clients and true to themselves. I think, it's a general, it could be any of those situations. But I think that, if you stick to that formula, you will succeed.
Yep. David Parnes, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great. Appreciate you bringing your dog on camera.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. And
Right,
man, you're a rock star. Thanks again for being here today.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yep. Bye-bye.